What's up guys, it's Zach and welcome back to my channel. Now today we are going to be talking about Nintendo some more, because you know me, I usually am not one to like to cover Nintendo leaks just because most of the time they are absolute baloney, they are stupid, they are not real, and they are just some nobody on 4chan wanting some clout. But I really wanted to talk about this leak, except not actually really directly talking about it, just simply because A, it's probably the stupidest leak I've ever seen, but also I just kind of want to talk about this topic because it's a popular topic for the Nintendo community nowadays, and I feel like I want to put in my 2 cents. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this video. Without any further ado, let's talk about the dreaded and hopefully inevitable Nintendo Switch Pro. So I was on Twitter the other day and I saw this post from Tiffany Treadmore Incorporated, aka @HotGirlVideos69. I mean, if people are actually taking this leak seriously, you're gonna take a leak from Twitter handle HotGirlVideos69. But it says, rumor, Mario and Luigi IP, Mario and Luigi IP due late 2021/early 2022 for the Nintendo Switch Advanced. Existing Mario and Luigi properties for Nintendo DS tentatively available for the Nintendo Switch in June of 2021. Now, is there a possibility that this is true? Of course there is. Any leak has any kind of chance or possibility to be true. It's been done before. But with this one, there are just so many flaws in this. But the main thing I actually want to talk about here is the Nintendo Switch Pro idea. Now, this article calls it the Nintendo Switch Advanced. And I'll be honest, I actually kind of like that name. I mean, it kind of goes on tradition, you know, from the Game Boy Advance. It kind of, I don't know, I personally like it. But I don't know if they'd actually call it the Nintendo Switch Advanced. I mean, we'd have to see. I don't know. I mean, the parts I really have to laugh at here are the Mario and Luigi stuff. Now, of course, Mario and Luigi could definitely come back because Mario and Luigi obviously aren't owned by Alpha Dream. They're owned by Nintendo, but just developed by Alpha Dream. So, of course, there could be new Mario and Luigi games, or they could port the old ones to the Switch. Completely possible. But, I mean, it says only the DS ones are tentatively available for the Nintendo Switch Online in June 2021. Why only the DS ones? Like, obviously that would be Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story. Like, why just those two? And I feel like of all the games to be for the Nintendo Switch Advanced, why would a Mario and Luigi RPG be that? If this leak said something like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in late 2021, for the Nintendo Switch Advanced, I think that can make sense because Legend of Zelda, you know, is pretty graphically intensive, you know, for the Switch, and it could make sense for it to be coming to a Switch Advanced. But Mario and Luigi? I mean, Mario and Luigi has a very simple art style, nothing at all complicated, so unless they really change the art style, I don't know how that would even make sense for a Nintendo Switch Advanced. But nonetheless, I think bringing up the idea of a Nintendo Switch Pro or a Nintendo Switch Advanced is very interesting because of the fact that, really, if you guys think about it, the Nintendo Switch is almost 4 years old. That thing's been out for almost 4 years. It's crazy how long this thing's been out, and it does kind of make sense for them to kind of upgrade their models because let's think about this for a second. Nintendo fans who want a Nintendo Switch already have one. Let's be real here. Most Nintendo fans who wanted a Switch or want games on the Switch, they already got the Switch. So that market is already nailed. They're fine there. So now you gotta get the other audiences in, being the casual audience and the hardcore audience. Well, Nintendo's nailed the casual market, so let's not worry about that. But Nintendo's wanted to emphasize a lot with the Switch that third parties are going to be present. There's not going to be any lack of third parties like on previous Nintendo consoles. They're going to be back, and they're going to be better than ever. And of course, they have to some extent. I mean, we've gotten games like Witcher 3. You know, we recently got the BioShock collection and the Borderlands collection. Like, we're getting a lot of quality third-party titles, and that is absolutely amazing. But the new problem I see coming into the picture is the Xbox Series X and the PS5. I think those two systems, being that there's another generation gap between the Nintendo Switch and the current gen consoles, like basically they're 2 console generations apart. That makes it really hard for third-party developers to develop for the Switch. Hell, they even said themselves when it comes to developing for the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One, or the PS4 and the PS5. It is so hard to do both generations, so I can only imagine how hard it is for the Switch. And this, in my opinion, means that I think third-party games or third-party support is going to start dropping. Now, of course, there will probably still be third-party support in the fact that we might get older games coming to the Switch, like maybe more Xbox 360 ports, maybe some Xbox One or PS4 ports, you know, that kind of stuff. I think that makes sense, but there's not going to be many newer gen titles, like, you know, maybe Just Dance, you know, that one's pretty popular, but I think the third-party support is slowly going to start dipping off. We're already starting to see it with Bethesda, with Doom Eternal. That is coming out all digital. They're not doing anything physical for it. So I think slowly, third-party support is just going to start dying for the Switch, and it's unfortunate. And I think most of it has to do with the fact that the Switch is an underpowered console. Let's be frank here. The Switch is underpowered. It is not a great device in terms of modern gaming hardware. So I think making a new Pro or advanced model of the Switch is perfect. Especially because everyone's hailing the sales of the Switch. And to be fair, the Switch is selling so well. But I feel like most of the reason for that is because there weren't any other consoles coming out. Like in 2013 and 14 is when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One came out. And then by 2017, those consoles were out. They were out and available. So now, Nintendo had their chance to come in because of the fact that no one's really buying new consoles. So this was the perfect time for them to come in and sell their console. But now that the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are brand new hardware, they're powerful, the Xbox Series S is the same price as the Nintendo Switch, it just makes it kind of hard, in my opinion, for Nintendo to compete with that. So I think Nintendo will have to, at some point, drop the price of the original Switch model, maybe to $250, you know, and then have the Switch Lite stay the same price. And then offer a new, more powerful console for, honestly, probably the same price that the regular base Nintendo Switch is now. Because especially since the Xbox Series S is $300, it's really hard to compete with that. And of course, you could say, you know, Microsoft and Nintendo really aren't competitors. Like, they really don't compete for each other because they're such different consoles and such different gamers play the two consoles. But Nintendo wants to keep their sales momentum going forward, and I think it wouldn't be in Nintendo's best interest just to do nothing while these new consoles that are super powerful, super great, come out, and Nintendo's just sitting there like, well, you know, I'm just gonna chill here, let the Nintendo Switch do its thing, while, you know, people are suing Nintendo for the Joy-Con issues it's been having, and while most of their games are just ports of old games. Like, what came out this year for Nintendo? I get it, COVID-19 really struck, and it devastated the world, I know. But you gotta admit, for what COVID-19 has brought, Sony and Microsoft did a decent job bringing out games. The consoles, that's a whole different story. But games, they had a decent amount, specifically Sony, obviously, because they got more of the first-party stuff. They had loads of stuff this year. Miles Morales, Ghost of Tsushima, they had so much stuff to where it makes you look at Nintendo and go, what? Like, we're gonna get a Mario 3D compilation, which is honestly pretty lazy. I love it, but it's definitely a lazy compilation. You know, a couple Wii U ports. You know, there were definitely some new games in there with Animal Crossing and Paper Mario and Hyrule Warriors. But, I don't know. For a company that relies on its first-party content to sell its consoles, it's weird how little first-party content they had this year. Alright, I went off on a wild tangent. I am sorry about that. But the point is, I think it's necessary for Nintendo to make a new console, or, you know, a revision of the Switch that is more powerful, more advanced. If it has to be, like, TV only and not portable, I'm fine with that. Like, make it so that this Nintendo Switch is almost like the Switch Lite, where it's basically your portable version. It's going to be less powerful than the actual, you know, home console, but just, I don't know. I think it's completely necessary and just needed for Nintendo to release something new soon in terms of hardware. I know the Switch Lite only came out last year, but I personally think not having a more powerful Switch will do more harm to Nintendo the longer they wait to do it. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff down below. Make sure to click the notification bell so you're notified of when I upload videos. And check out the merch store. There's some cool ZakPak merch up there. So, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.